In the heart of the sun-scorched African savanna, where the golden grasses whispered secrets to the wind and the distant roar of lions echoed like thunder, a lone wildebeest bolted across the plain, its hooves pounding the earth in a desperate bid for freedom. But it wasn't alone. Shadows flickered in the distance, sleek, painted forms closing in with calculated precision. This wasn't just a chase, it was a symphony of survival, orchestrated by nature's most relentless hunters. Imagine the thrill of the hunt, the pulse of unity in every stride. If this grips you already, hit that like button and subscribe for more tales from the wild that remind us of the unbreakable bonds that define life itself. Now, let's dive into the story of Zara and her pack, where the power of togetherness turns the impossible into triumph. Zara was the alpha female of the Lycaean pack, her coat a mosaic of black, white, and rust that gleamed under the relentless sun. At 7 years old, she carried the weight of leadership on her scarred shoulders. Her eyes, sharp as obsidian, had seen seasons of plenty and famine, births and losses that etched deep lines into her soul. She wasn't just a leader, she was a mother, a mentor, and the heartbeat of her family. The pack consisted of 12 members, her mate, Kibo, strong and steadfast, their 3 young pups, full of boundless energy but untested in the harsh realities of the wild, and the elders like Mara, whose wisdom came from surviving hunts that claimed many. They roamed the vast plains of Botswana's Okavango Delta, a land of rivers that swelled and receded like the tides of fate, providing both bounty and peril. Life for the African wild dogs was a constant dance with death. Unlike the solitary predators that relied on brute force, Zara's pack thrived on something far more profound: unity. Their relay hunting strategy was legendary, a testament to evolution's ingenuity. One dog would initiate the chase, pushing the prey to its limits, only to tag off to a fresher packmate who took up the pursuit. It was like a marathon where no single runner bore the full burden. Exhaustion was shared, victory collective. But this strategy wasn't just mechanics, it was laced with emotion, trust, and the raw ache of interdependence. Zara knew this better than anyone. Years ago, as a pup herself, she had watched her own mother lead a hunt that went horribly wrong. A massive buffalo had turned on them, goring 2 pack members. The survivors scattered, but it was the relay that saved them, calling to each other, regrouping, persisting until the threat was outrun. That memory fueled Zara's every decision, a reminder that alone, they were vulnerable, together, they were invincible. The story truly began on a dawn painted in hues of crimson and gold, as the pack stirred from their nocturnal rest. The air was thick with anticipation. The previous day's hunt had failed, leaving bellies empty and spirits low. The pups whimpered softly, their tiny frames trembling with hunger. Zara nuzzled them gently, her warm breath a silent promise: "We will provide." Kibo stood by her side, his presence a pillar of strength. "Today, we hunt as one," Zara seemed to communicate through a series of whines and yips, her tail held high. The pack responded in kind, a chorus of affirmation that rippled through the group. But beneath the unity lurked challenges. One of the pups, little Jax, was the runt of the litter, smaller, weaker, with a limp from a thorn injury that hadn't fully healed. He idolized Zara, following her every move with wide-eyed adoration, but doubt gnawed at him. Could he keep up? Would he be the weak link that doomed them all? As the sun climbed higher, the pack set out, their multicolored coats blending into the dappled light of the acacia trees. They moved like ghosts, silent and synchronized, ears perked for the telltale sounds of prey. Mara, the elder, led the scouting with her keen sense of smell, her nose twitching as she caught the scent of a herd of impala grazing near a waterhole. Impala were swift, capable of bursts up to 80 km per hour, far outpacing a single wild dog's top speed of 60. But speed wasn't the pack's weapon, strategy was. Zara signaled the plan with a low bark, relay formation. The pack fanned out, positioning themselves in a loose arc around the herd. Tension built like a storm cloud, hearts pounding in unison. The hunt ignited when Kibo, the fastest starter, exploded from the bushes, zeroing in on a young impala that strayed too far from the group. The prey leaped in panic, zigzagging across the plain with graceful bounds that would shame an Olympian. Kibo pursued relentlessly, his muscles burning as he closed the gap. But the impala was fresh, its energy boundless. After a kilometer, Kibo began to flag, his breaths coming in ragged gasps. That's when the relay kicked in. Zara yipped sharply, and Jax's older sister, Luna, surged forward from her flanking position. She took over seamlessly, her fresh legs propelling her into the lead. Kibo peeled off, circling back to rejoin the pack, his role fulfilled but his pride intact. The impala, now tiring from the initial sprint, glanced back in confusion. Why wasn't the pursuer slowing? Emotional currents ran deep during these moments. Luna, at 2 years old, was fiery and impulsive, driven by a need to prove herself after losing a sibling to hyenas the previous wet season. That loss haunted her, a scar on her spirit that made every hunt personal. As she chased, memories flashed, the cries of her brother fading into the night, the pack's futile search at dawn. Not today, she thought, pushing harder. The impala faltered slightly, its leaps less explosive. But the terrain turned treacherous, a dry riverbed loomed ahead, riddled with rocks and hidden dips. Luna misjudged a jump, twisting her ankle on a jagged stone. Pain shot through her like fire, but she didn't stop. Whining softly, she signaled the next relay, Jax. Here came the first major challenge. Jax, the runt, hesitated. His limp made every step a battle, and fear clutched his chest like thorns. The pack's eyes were on him, Zara's encouraging, Mara's wise, Kibo's expectant. I can't, Jax whimpered inwardly. But Zara's voice cut through his doubt, a series of urgent barks that translated to, "You are pack. We need you." Summoning courage he didn't know he had, Jax bolted forward. His smaller size made him agile, dodging obstacles that larger dogs might stumble over. He closed in on the impala, nipping at its heels, forcing it to expend precious energy in evasive maneuvers. The prey was sweating now, its tongue lolling, muscles quivering from exhaustion. Jax's heart swelled with a mix of terror and exhilaration. This was what it meant to belong. Meanwhile, the rest of the pack maneuvered strategically. Mara and the elders cut off escape routes, herding the impala toward a bottleneck of thorny bushes. The pup's mother, Zara, positioned herself for the final takedown. But adversity struck again. A rival pack scent wafted on the breeze, hyenas, opportunistic scavengers drawn by the commotion. They lurked on the periphery, their eerie laughs mocking the dog's efforts. If the hunt dragged on, the hyenas could steal the kill, leaving the pack starving. Kibo growled, rallying the group. This was no time for division, the relay demanded flawless trust. As Jax tired, he tagged off to Zara herself. She exploded into action, her experience guiding every bound. The impala, now utterly spent from the relentless pursuit, staggered. Zara closed the distance, her jaws snapping with precision. In a final, coordinated surge, the pack converged, Kibo from the left, Luna limping but determined from the right, Mara sealing the rear. They brought the impala down humanely, swiftly, their strategy triumphing over superior speed. The kill was shared, the pack feeding in order of hierarchy but ensuring even the youngest got their fill. Jax, panting and proud, received a lick from Zara, a gesture of approval that melted his insecurities. But the emotional depth didn't end with success. As they ate, Luna's injury became apparent, she favored her paw, pain etching her features. The pack gathered around her, grooming and nuzzling, a silent vow of support. In the wild, injuries could be fatal, but the pack's bond meant no one was left behind. Zara led them back to their den, where the elders shared stories under the starlit sky, tales of past hunts, losses that taught resilience, victories that forged unbreakable ties. Jax, nestled against his mother, felt a surge of belonging. He had faced his fear, contributed to the whole, and learned that weakness wasn't a flaw but a call for collective strength. Days turned to weeks, and the pack faced more trials. A drought parched the land, forcing longer migrations. Hyenas ambushed during a night hunt, injuring Kibbo. But each challenge was met with the relay spirit, not just in hunting, but in healing, teaching, surviving. Luna's ankle mended with rest and the pack's shared vigilance. Jax grew stronger, his limp fading as confidence bloomed. Zara, watching her family thrive, reflected on the essence of their existence. The power of the pack wasn't in individual prowess but in the emotional tapestry woven from trust, sacrifice, and love. One particularly grueling hunt tested them to their core. A massive kudu, with antlers like twisted thorns, proved elusive. The relay stretched over kilometers, each dog pushing beyond limits. Mara, the eldest, collapsed mid-chase from heat exhaustion. Panic rippled through the pack, lose her, and they lost their wisdom. But they adapted. Kibbo doubled back, supporting her while the others continued. Zara took the lead, her maternal instincts fueling a ferocious determination. The kudu, exhausted from the unending pursuit, finally succumbed. Returning to Mara, they found her revived by shade and water from a nearby stream. That night, around the feast, emotions poured out in whines and play. Mara nuzzled Jax, passing on lore, "The pack endures because we carry each other." Seasons cycled, bringing floods that isolated the pack on islands of dry land. Food grew scarce, and internal tensions arose. Luna, now a subadult, challenged Zara's decisions, her grief over past losses manifesting as rebellion. "Why relay when I can strike alone?" she barked defiantly during a planning session. Zara, instead of asserting dominance harshly, shared her own vulnerabilities, the fear of losing more family, the ache of leadership's isolation. This vulnerability bridged the gap. Luna relented, understanding that emotion bound them tighter than instinct. Together, they devised a modified relay for the flooded terrain, using elevated ridges as vantage points. The hunt succeeded, reinforcing that conflicts, when resolved with empathy, strengthened the unit. The pups matured, Jax emerging as a strategist in his own right. He innovated the relay by incorporating feints, pretend chases to confuse prey. His ideas were born from observation, watching how birds flock or ants collaborate. The pack embraced his contributions, turning potential hierarchy clashes into collaborative evolution. Kibbo, aging gracefully, mentored the young, his stories of youthful follies evoking laughter like yips. Mara, in her twilight years, became the storyteller, her tales embedding lessons of perseverance. Yet, tragedy struck inevitably. During a hunt against a herd of zebras, a stallion's kick felled Kibbo, fracturing his leg. The pack completed the kill, but Kibbo's injury was severe. He limped back, pain clouding his eyes. Zara's heart shattered. He was her anchor, the father of her pups. The pack rallied, sharing food, guarding him during recovery. Emotional nights followed, with the group huddled close, their warmth a balm. Kibbo's spirit remained unbroken, whispering encouragements to Jax, "Lead with heart, not just teeth." Weeks of vigilance paid off. Kibbo healed, though with a scar that mirrored Zara's own. This ordeal deepened their bonds, proving that the relay extended beyond hunts, to life's relentless chases. As the pack grew, new litters arrived, infusing fresh energy. Zara watched Jax mentor the newborns, his once doubtful self now a beacon of inspiration. Luna found a mate from a neighboring pack, merging families in a rare alliance that expanded their territory. Challenges like poachers' snares and human encroachment loomed, but the dogs adapted, their strategy evolving to avoid dangers. Mara's passing came peacefully under a baobab tree, her final words a whine of gratitude. The pack mourned, but her legacy lived in every relay. Through it all, the emotional core remained: love amid loss, courage in fear, unity in diversity. Zara, now grizzled with age, led one final epic hunt, a buffalo that dwarfed them all. The relay was flawless, each member playing their part with heartfelt precision. As they feasted, Zara looked to the horizon, knowing her time as alpha waned. Jax stepped up, his eyes meeting hers in silent succession. In the end, the power of the pack isn't just a hunting tactic, it's a life philosophy. It teaches us that in our own savannas, be it families, teams, or communities, true strength lies in sharing burdens, celebrating victories, and lifting each other through trials. Like Zara's pack, we overcome by sticking together, relaying hope when one tires. If this story moved you, smash that like button, subscribe for more inspiring wildlife sagas, and share with someone who needs a reminder of unity's might. The wild calls, will you answer?